This video is going to review Lab 7, which is about cells and osmosis. So you're going to learn about cells. There's a ton in the book if you need to look it up. We're obviously at this point in lecture, we have already gone over it. We're looking here at the difference between prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. This may be your first exposure to talking about bacteria. This discussion here just goes over how you can see the bacteria and determine which bacteria are in your environment or in your throat or wherever you're testing. They're everywhere. We have a wrong perception that they're all bad for us. Most of them don't hurt us. Many of them actually help us, but there are ones that do hurt us. So this is just going to talk about how we collect them. And we're going to go into this more in lecture and talking about diseases and so on. And we'll actually do a lab on infectious diseases, talking about the bacteria and the viruses that make us sick. So that's just a brief thing on prokaryotic cells. Then we're going to focus on eukaryotic cells, which are the type of cells that animals have. And since we are animals, they are the type of cells that we are made of. And we're going to look at one specific process that cells go through to control water balance, and that is osmosis. So this goes through a discussion about what you need to be thinking about as you're doing this lab. This lab is going to have a lab write-up, so it's worth a few more points. So it goes through a discussion on osmosis and diffusion. It gives you some definitions here. The best place to learn about this, to understand it, is to go to this YouTube page, a YouTube video. The link is here, but it's also in the lab. You need to watch it, kind of tie it in with a discussion that goes on in this section of the lab, and hopefully you'll get a basic understanding of what's going on. If not, again, you can always contact me. So you're going to run this experiment at home. You'll need to buy some eggs. You're only going to need one egg, but you'll see later in the discussion why you want to start with more. You'll need vinegar, distilled water, not just tap water, but distilled water, molasses. You're going to have to come up with a way to measure how the size of the egg changes in different environments. So you need to think about what equipment you'll need for that, and then some container to put the egg in. So the first thing you're going to do, and I'll just go through this real quickly, is you're going to need to get the shell off the egg, because what we want is a membrane that works like the cells of your body, a selectively permeable membrane. When you get the shell off the egg, then you have a selectively permeable membrane. Now obviously the egg becomes much more easy to break when there's not a shell on it. So the vinegar is going to take the shell off it. This is why I have you start with more than just one egg, because it's in the vinegar, the shell will dissolve off, but then you need to wash more of it off. And as you're washing more of it off, if you're not gentle enough, or if the water's on too high, there's a chance the egg may break. So you want to start with more than just one egg. I recommend 2 to 3 eggs, and hopefully one of those will survive. If you end up with more than one egg that would work, that's okay. It's better to end up with more eggs than no eggs. Once you get the egg, the shell off the egg, you're going to put it in 2 different solutions, not at the same time, but you have to think about, based on what you learned in the video, what's going to happen to the size of that egg. You're then going to put it in molasses and measure it after it's been in the molasses for the time period stated in here. Then you're going to take that same egg after it's in the molasses and you measure it, and you're going to put it in distilled water, and you're going to see what happens to it. And again, you have to come up with a method of measuring the egg size. And then you're going to go through and you're going to do a lab report. The lab report is going to include the same things every other lab report, or the first lab report, I should say, included the title, introduction, methods. Do not copy and paste what I've written above. You need to write your own methods. Your result will be a bar or line graph. Again, you'll need to use a computer to do that, or a piece of graph paper off the lab information page, and then scan it or take a picture and put it in your results section. And then your discussion. I'm expecting a decent discussion. You're going to apply what was in the video and what you learned about osmosis into what happened, or the results that you got with the egg. And you're also going to have to talk about water and why it's important, and why, I don't want to give this too much away, but why we can't drink all the water that's in the world, and why water is important, and why the consistency or the characteristics of water determine whether we can drink it or not. So your discussion is going to be 3 paragraphs in here at least, and you're going to have to do some good thinking on what this experiment showed you based on what the video taught you about osmosis. So what you can do is just start your lab right up here with your title and go down, and then you'll have a reference cited page, which I don't have typed up here, but make sure you cite your references. Make sure you cite your references at the end of the lab write-up. And then you will just submit this whole document. First save it, and then you'll submit it. It will go through Safe Assign, so it'll be checking for plagiarism. So make sure that you're doing your own work. Again, if you have any questions, let me know, and off you go with your little egg.